Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of TEPSA Presents our Member Spotlight series. My name is Todd Nesloni, and I'm the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. And I am thrilled to be having a conversation today with JD Perez. JD, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little about who you are.
So my name is JD Perez. I am a associate principal for Northside ISD, specifically at K. Franklin Elementary. This is my third year there as an associate principal, and I've loved it. I love it.
Awesome. Well, JD, whenever we have these conversations, one of the first things that I love to talk about is just your own personal journey into leadership roles that you're in now. And so when you were in the classroom, did you always have that kind of urge to be looking at how you can keep moving up? Or was somebody who poured into you that gave you that idea? How did that happen for you?
Well, I think I always knew that I wanted to be a leader. Just it was always in me for since I was, a Bible school helper to a youth leader at church, and then became, I was a part of my student government in college. And then my first year teaching, I wanted to do everything, and then left there because I was at Midlothian ISD, left there, came back home, and continued on every single opportunity that I got. I was doing it. Hey, you need a sponsor for this? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I knew that I wanted to do more.
So when did that come up where you got the assistant principal job? Because I know you'd mentioned to me before the show started too, you were also a math coach at one point, correct?
Yes. So I was a math coach for 5 years, where my title was a math staff development teacher. So I was actually able to help develop teachers and students as well at the same time. And then the opportunity came to me after 5 years of doing that. I got the job actually in the summer of COVID. So that
Oh,
that was a lot of fun. No, it actually was. I've learned a lot. I think I have experience that a lot of people are not able to speak to.
yeah.
And I think that adds a lot to my resume, I guess. But more than anything, I can speak to the fact that, I've done it through COVID. Then my second year, which was last year, was a little bit more normal. And then I can say this year is normal, what everybody tells me. So I'm like, okay, everybody kept telling me during COVID, if you can do it now, you can do it at any time.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right, I just got to get through this year. And it was actually not terrible. It was a lot of learning. Uh,
Yeah,
but I'm still here and I still love it. So.
that is great to hear. Well, JD, in these conversations, we like to give our listeners some things to kind of walk away with and think about as well. And so I know that technology is a big piece of whatever we do, whether it's personal or professional. So when you think about your personal or professional life and a tech tool that you can't live without, what is one that you want to share?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Um, I think one that everybody can relate to, and this is probably going to sound different coming from, an administrator. I'm probably going to go with TikTok.
Ah,
And here's why. To me, there's just so much out there. And obviously, it kind of streams based on what you like. And there's just so many ideas from administrators, so many people on there that talk from anything to deal with special ed law to why they want to leave the classroom. Then that's where I get some of my ideas where it's like, okay, this is how these teachers are feeling. How can I change that? What can I do to make that, something that they're not going to want to think of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or at the end of the year from now? Or, hey, here's a simple something that I haven't seen anybody do. So let me try to do it. I think there's
yeah.
just so much out there. And I mean, I'm also able to post on there as well. And
Mhm.
I posted my Elf on the Shelf one that a lot of people like. That was fun.
I love it. Sometimes we can think about these tech tools as being such a negative thing when there's things like TikTok, but there are so many great things we can learn from them professionally and for our personal lives as well. So I love that you mentioned that, and I'm glad that you're sharing on TikTok as well. So people are going to hear you say the elf on the shelf thing. You got to give us a little bit more information about that now.
So I started it last year where I dressed up as an elf on the shelf and I was on top of a ladder as students were coming in and everybody loved it. And then, I knew I was going to do it this year, but I was like, all right, here it comes. And parents probably a week before, 2 weeks before, were already asking me, hey, are you going to do it again? Hey, are you going to do it again? And I'm like, yes. And then this time I stepped it up a little bit and actually brought out a shelf, and I took random pictures on the shelf and, in behind our display trophy case,
Uh-huh.
on bookcases, on my principal's desk, and then just posted those pictures and made a video out of it and posted it on TikTok. And I don't know, most of them had the elf hat, and then some of them had a cowboy hat because it was the cowboy version too.
I love it. That is amazing. Well, one of the other things that is really important to us as we move into leadership roles is maintaining and building up the culture on our campus. And so what do you do to grow culture, or what's a culture building idea that you've seen that you want to try? Share something with us.
So I've done two this year, I think, that I've taken away from, and one I got from TikTok. And what they had posted was during the Teacher Appreciation Week, they did a Flamingo Friday. So on that Friday, they gave away like a special gift card or something. And I was like, you know what? Why just do it one Friday when I can do it every Friday? And I didn't know the task that I took on, but basically what I did was I reached out to a lot of just businesses around my school, and just people that I know that have businesses, and said, hey, this is my idea. If you can help out with donating some gift cards, that'd be awesome. So I actually got a lot of gift cards, and every Friday I select two numbers. I put a number underneath, and every Friday I select two numbers, and they get a $10 to $15 gift card to like Bath and Body Works, Starbucks, things like that.
Mhm.
And then another thing that I did was in February, I made a calendar of just, I called it a month to be fabulous.
Mhm.
I read an article from the TEPSA articles, and it just talked about the February slump. And I'm like, man, I never thought about it. But even as a teacher, I remember thinking like February is such a long month. Like we
Yeah.
don't have any days off. We're waiting for spring break. So it
Mhm.
just kind of created a whole lot of different things. Again, reached out to businesses and got, Massage Heights to come in, and they did free massages for 15 minutes. And I
Wow.
can't tell you, the teachers were raving about it. They were like, "Oh my gosh." And I'll even plug this in. The next day was the first day that we had 100% attendance from our teachers. I was like, I'm gonna attribute that to me getting the free massages for y'all. But
Right.
yeah, we just did every Friday we had something. So we had like popsicles on a Friday, like I think it was like you scream, ice cream, we all scream for Friday, but then you got ice cream, and just did things like that periodically throughout the month of February just to keep up the morale,
Mhm.
um, and seemed to have helped.
I love that. Hey, nobody is going to turn down a free gift card. I mean, we all know that's the case. So great ideas. I love doing that, especially for the month of February. Love that you inspired for the idea by a TEPSA article. That's always good to hear. Well, JD, as we wrap this conversation up, one of the things that we like to leave people with is just a word of advice. And so when you think of leaders, even leaders in their first year, even though pretty much every year is like our first year, what would be some advice that you would leave?
As a first year, for me, my biggest thing, and even like you said, every year, I think it's, just building relationships. I think that's the biggest thing that goes a long way, is those relationships that you have built with your parents, with your staff, and obviously, most importantly, the students, where they take notice. They take notice of those things, and when something does happen, they know that, hey, Mr. Perez, like I trust you. I trust what you're doing. You've I started something, and I'm sure a lot of schools do it, but just a positive office referral where it looks like a little note card, and a teacher. I try to get teachers to do two a month, and now they're giving me four, and it's a lot of work, but it's fine. And it gives me a chance to call parents for positive things and start those little, we call them like little seeds of, hey, he didn't call for a bad thing. And most of the time they're like, what happened? What did he do? And I'm like, so now I've learned, I call and I'm like, let me preface it. This is a good call.
Mhm.
And it's just like I said, with the parents, with the students, with the teachers, where they know, and it feels good. It feels good where when they're coming to you because they feel comfortable and they know that they can trust you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love that. That's excellent advice no matter what year you are in your career. So thank you for that, JD. Well, JD, if people want to connect with you on social media, are you on? I mean, we know you're on TikTok now because you mentioned that, but are you anywhere else?
Yes, I have Twitter.
And how can we find you on Twitter?
Let me see what it is.
I love that. I love that. So you wouldn't believe how many people go, let me make sure I know what my handle is.
Yes, well, it's because typically it's almost the same, but it's just JD Perez _AP.
Okay, awesome. Well, JD, thank you so much for coming on. It was great getting to learn from you. Definitely some good takeaways today. And we want to thank everybody for listening or watching another episode of our TEPSA Member Spotlight series. Remember, you can meet some of these members and even more at our TEPSA Summer Conference, June 7th through 9th at the Kalahari Resort in Round Rock, Texas. You are not going to want to miss it, with keynotes like Sean Covey and Jimmy Casas and Carmen Agrediti. It is going to be incredible. So thank you so much, JD, and thank you everybody for listening or watching, and we'll see you next week with an all new episode.